Well, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. We're coming to you live from Mpumalanga. That's where the G20 Tourism Working Group is currently meeting. Of course, a number of key priorities are being discussed now at the G20 Tourism Ministers meeting. A number of priorities will be discussed, and these will be turned into declarations that will ultimately land at the Leaders Summit that's taking place in November. Interesting developments here on the first day of some of the meetings in Mpumalanga is the hackathon that took place. Now, one of the key priorities for Tourism G20 is how people-centered AI and innovation can be for travel and tourism. So really interesting developments happening. We're going to be speaking to the Minister of Tourism, Patricia de Lille, a little bit later on, just to give us a sense of how they are utilizing the youth and technology to advance and to bring some solutions to some of the challenges being faced in the sector. Well, for now, to start the show, I'm joined by my colleague, specialist researcher here at the SABC, Vilimseni Mtiane. Vele, very good afternoon to you. So, of course, we're looking at just some of the economies that are attending this G20 Tourism Summit. Speak to us about the dynamics and what we're likely to see in terms of just the economies that will be here.
Well, Unati, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers at home. And the tourism is very much important sector globally because it contributes about 11 trillion US dollars when it comes into the money that is injected by tourism and travel globally. But also when you look into the number of people that are employed in the sector, about 357 million people globally are employed in this sector, Unati. It is a very labor intensive sector. And even here in South Africa, it is very much contributing to the GDP. So it is very much important, and I believe that with the G20 Tourism Working Group and whatever priorities and declarations that they are going to make, it's very much important that this sector needs to be enhanced to reach the pre-COVID pandemic levels because it has not yet fully recovered, particularly here in South Africa.
It's very interesting that you're mentioning pre-COVID numbers. Speak to us then about the lay of the land in terms of how we are looking in the tourism sector for South Africa. We know, of course, that the sector started picking up not too long ago, which is good news. I mean, the numbers are not at the level that they were in 2019, but certainly some improvements are being seen.
Well, Unati, if we look into the G20 economies, and the graphic will show us that 74% of international tourists were received by G20 economies. In other words, that the 21 members of G20 received about 75%, which is 75% of international tourists. And that's a massive number when it comes to G20's importance when it comes to tourism, because and they also received, in terms of the world contribution to tourists coming out of G20 economies, going out to other parts of the world, about 73%. So that's a big number, that's a big contribution. So it is very much important to talk about what are G20 economies, what strategies are they going to come up with to enhance this sector, because this sector is contributing globally, as I said, 357 million jobs. That's a big number of jobs, and with about 10.9, about 11 trillion US dollars. Those are huge numbers when it comes into the contribution of the sector. So G20 economies have to come up with some strategies to say this is how we are resuscitating this industry to pre-COVID-19 levels.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see just some of those strategies and what they will be taking to the Leaders Summit. But Veli, thank you so much for your time. Well, that was Vilimseni Mtiane, SABC specialist researcher, just unpacking some of those numbers behind the G20 Tourism Summit. So, of course, we'll continue to focus on the G20, on SA Today, and other, of course, shows right here on the channel. It is an important conversation, but more importantly, a lot of South Africans just really looking in terms of actions. What actions will come out of these working meetings that will actually be tangible for them, and where people will actually start seeing, those solutions coming to the table, translating to jobs. Essentially, that is what they need. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll be in conversation with the Tourism Minister, Patricia de Lille, as well as the stakeholders that have been at this hackathon, and just find out how the solutions from the young students that are here today have really translated into those tangible solutions that they so desperately need too as the youth. Well, hello again. You're watching SA Today, and of course, we are focusing on the G20. This is the countdown as we look forward to the G20 Leaders Summit that's happening in November. We are in Mpumalanga this week, and we, of course, are talking tourism, all things tourism. We're looking at the Tourism G20 Working Group. It's been a busy week for them. They started with that investment conference that happened in Cape Town. We're now in Hazy View in Mpumalanga, where exciting things are happening. Now, we are touching base on one of the key priorities for the G20 tourism, and that essentially speaks to all things tech, all things AI, essentially people-focused artificial intelligence, as well as innovation, particularly around travel, around tourism. So, and exciting things happening here in Hazy View. So we are in a room full of students, 48 of them to be exact. And they are, of course, surrounded by other organizations, entrepreneurs, business people, and policymakers, and essentially going about and doing a hackathon. Now, these are another way of innovative ways of, just touching on challenges, particularly on the tourism sector, and finding solutions for the tourism sector, focusing more specifically on, startup businesses as well as SMMEs. So I have my panel that I'm going to be speaking to today. And of course, just talking about a little bit about the hackathon itself, but also engaging on just some of those declarations that will be discussed on the 12th of September with the Ministers G20 Tourism Summit. But with me now and my panel is the Minister of Tourism, who needs no introduction, basically, Patricia de Lille. Minister, welcome to you, and thank you so much for your time. And then I'm joined by Mandisa Silo, Future Leaders Challenge, as well as Diane Ngonyama from Geek Culture. I think Geek Culture, the name already says it all. Minister, a very good afternoon to you. Let me start with you. I mean, it's been such an exciting period, but also we're looking at, serious issues, but finding innovative ways in terms of turning those situations around. Speak to me about what prompted the department to go this route. Hackathon, fill the room with 48 students in 21 different institutions across the country.
Must I hold it? Okay. Yeah, the president always says, leave no one behind. And we wanted to make sure that in the tourism sector, that we bring the young people with us. We are busy grooming them for the future. You are our future leaders, and I salute all of you. And thank you for all the hard work that you have put in. Because it is the young people of today that experience the challenges, the different problems in their communities. And they are the best placed also to come up with solutions. In this case, we've asked the young people to use technology, AI, digital, because that's the future for them. They were born for it, not us. To design solutions for the future. So what do we want to do? What do we want to achieve by this is to bring the youth to experience the G20. Tomorrow, the winners of the competition will present their ideas to all the G20 tourism ministers, plus our 8 guest countries. And I also want to thank our partners. But we want to make this an annual event, not just the once-off. This is the beginning. We are using the first 50 students to pioneer to see where we can improve. But we also want them to inspire them And therefore, we have allocated 500,000 Rand for prize money. And another 1 million Rand to incubate these ideas. We want to see these prototypes, incubate them, make them commercially viable. Already I spoke to Google today. Google is coming on as a partner for next year. And we want it to be an annual event whereby we involve, we started with 18 institutions, we ended up with 21.
Yeah.
And so they are sort of pioneering everything for us. But we want to encourage them and thank them for their hard work.
Yeah, I want to now just bring in some of those organizations that you work very close with. And Mandisa, maybe let me start with you. So speak to us about Future Leaders Challenge. What was your role and involvement here?
All right. So Future Leaders Challenge is a program that comes from the game-changing community, so game changers. So we were interested in getting involved because we want to be involved in anything game-changing. This G20 Tourism Hackathon was the very first in African soil, and we had to be part of it. So our role really was to then bring together all the youth of the country coming from the various 21 institutions. And we were really focusing on students that were coming from the tourism and hospitality background. These students were really also part of a previous event with Future Leaders Challenge, and they were really exposed to being future leaders. And we thought, what a better way, involving them at the G20 Tourism Hackathon.
Fantastic. So your name, I mean, doesn't need explanation, Diani. You from geek culture. Mandisa, if you can just pass the mic. Speak to us then about just some of the technology that you had to introduce for this hackathon, and I mean, hackathon rather, and how, how difficult was it to bring it about, or was it more exciting? I would imagine that's up your alley.
Yeah, no, it's been quite an interesting journey, and we must thank one of the key partners here as well, the Center for Public Service Innovation under DPSA, so whom together we then looked at ensuring that we bring together young technologists to then complement the teams onto the tourism side of things, because the students from the tourism sector had ideas, they had minds, they understand the sector, but then you needed people that can develop such solutions. So the teams were then complemented to come together, and the past few weeks has been a journey towards ensuring that the sector students understand the solution further, but then also the technology students get to understand the solutions, and it was a great opportunity to put two worlds together, and they had to also be taken through knowledge sessions. So there were experts from South Africa and different parts of the world, exposing them to different technologies so that they are able to build the solutions that were just presented here today.
Fantastic. I mean, I saw all the students, practicing for their presentations before coming into the room. It was amazing to watch. Minister, I want to talk about how we can take this forward now. South Africa has introduced just recently 1 billion rands worth of bankable tourism, projects. Do you see then a space for hackathons, to play a role here, particularly when you look at, developing AI solutions to boost visitor travel? I mean, we mentioned and heard about spaces that need boosting, like God's Window Skywalk, the Hole in the Wall Resort. Where do you see, this kind of experience tapping into some of those solutions?
For me, one of the solutions that I'm also looking to get out of digital transformation and using technology, we must see how we can, as government, overlay all our decisions with technology. We must be able to say, how do we use technology to make government more efficient and effective? We get a lot of complaints about service delivery, and I don't think that we are using technology sufficiently to government also to respond quicker. But then also, as we are now currently busy with UJ and the AI Institute, we want to, with this hackathon that we're going to have every year, we want to create that opportunity for young people to participate. And for them, I'm looking for kind of solutions that can disrupt the way we are thinking now. And I'm sure, we will get prototypes from here that we can commercialize afterwards, and it can become an income for small businesses. I always say, we talk about small, medium enterprises. How long must they stay small? We must put equity in as government to grow those small businesses, and especially in this field with our SMMEs, they need a lot of technical assistance.
I have to wrap, Minister, but very quickly, I want to give each of you very quickly, if you can, just a few moments to close this session. But Minister, let's start with you in terms of closing. Of course, we've been speaking a lot. There have been a lot of commissions, a lot of think tanks happening. Of course, tomorrow you're meeting with the ministers in the G20 under the tourism banner. Declarations will then be set. Ultimately, they will end up at the Leaders Summit. Very quickly, what are your expectations to see during that summit, that meeting that's taking place?
I've made sure right from the beginning that we will not just have declarations and resolutions. Out of every declaration and resolution, there's an action plan that must be implemented. So when we go to the G20 in America next year, we must be able to report back, this is what we have implemented and achieved. So action, walk the talk from here going forward.
Fantastic. Mandisa, what is your takeout from this hackathon?
I think we were very excited to see really the investment that went into the youth. We really believe that these are future leaders, particularly for this tourism sector, and to see them given an opportunity not only to bring new solutions, innovative solutions to the sector, but to actually bring them to reality, given that by the end of this process that they will be given that support that Minister is speaking to, that they will become real businesses. And I think this is plunged back into the sector. So we have many higher education institutions that took place. This is the grooming ground for the youth. It moves on into them, making sure that they are now into the sector. So we were quite excited to being part of that.
Diani, same question to you, your impressions?
All right. Our gratitude to the Minister and the Department of Tourism for providing such a platform for young people to express themselves technologically, creatively, in terms of coming up with solutions that addresses key challenges of the sector. And it was really quite exciting to see what transpired here this week.
All right, thank you so much. I'd like to thank my panelists, of course, and good luck to all of the students. And we're waiting to see the exciting innovation that will come out of it. But thank you so much for your time.